Welcome to the Kicking It with the Coaches podcast. I am your co-host, Coach K. I got my co-host, Coach Jones, with me today. We have a huge special guest today with us, man. This is one you guys don't want to miss. We got a great interview coming, questions, topics, everything you can think of. Our quote of the day is going to be, interested people watch obsessed people change the world. All right, the guest we have on today, again, we always try to correlate the quote with something that kind of goes with their journey, right, or what we're going to talk about today. And when you're interested in something, it only takes you so far. When you become obsessed with it and obsessed with what goes into it, that's when you change the world, change your community. That's when you elevate the people around you, those things. Thought that was a great quote today. Let's give a quick shout out before we jump in today. This show is brought to you by Brain Jerk Entertainment and Kennedy Health and Wellness. Welcome to the Brain Jerk era, baby. These guys are awesome. They put on the platform for us to do this. They do community events, as I've talked about on this show. Everything that you can think of, from events for the kids all the way to the adults. These guys are active and involved in it. So check them out, brainjerkentertainment.com, and you can find them on social media. Kennedy Health and Wellness is your one-stop shop for everything wellness, from body care to candles to coaching services. Make sure you guys go check us out. We offer quite a bit in the health and wellness field. We also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Amaya's Fresh Mexican Grill, the Little Brown Jug, Deb's Floral Designs, Lane's Pizzeria, IWR, Muggsy Sports Grill and Bar, Monroe Sports Center Bowling, and Nerdy Designs. So before we get into some of these questions, we just want to get a little bit of your background, Bronco. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story and kind of your journey. And
okay, Bronco Mckart, former WBO junior middleweight world champion. I had 68 professional fights. I won 56, lost 11, had one draw, 34 knockouts. I pride myself on the fights that I did lose were all two world champions, in one sense or the other. Yeah. Every fight except for one. Came up right here in Monroe, came up through the local boxing program at the ALCC, the community center.
Shout out to the ALCC.
Absolutely. I had 35 amateur fights. I won the Golden Gloves, I think four times, I think, in the Michigan Junior Olympics, the Detroit Diamond Gloves. Did pretty well in the amateurs too for the limited amount of fights that I had. But always took my sport serious. Even as a 14-year-old kid, I would get up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning before school so I could get my run in before school. My dad would ride a bike. When it was too cold, he'd get in the car and follow behind me. But my dad was there every step of the way. So I was blessed and fortunate in that aspect of it. Always considered myself just a hometown guy. No matter where I made it in boxing, how far I went, I always made myself accessible to the people here in the city, because my way of saying thank you for the support that they gave me was making myself accessible.
I love that.
It's awesome.
And just for the people watching, I can definitely vouch for that. This guy, he's always around town, whether it's I've ran into you walking the dog and had conversations, man. And I'm telling you, make my whole day, right? We've ran into you down there. Bronco came out for an inspiration summit that we did at Oaks. Shout out to Oaks. And he came out and spoke to the crowd, and it was great. So when he says that, I promise you guys, he truly means that. You can find him right down here in downtown Monroe or anywhere on a given day around the city helping out. So, and we appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
You and I've talked about this off camera, but I think it's important to still talk to it in front of the kids and the people listening. But you're an inspiration to a lot of us here in the city, and I truly mean that. Huge inspiration.
Thank you.
And you guys have some history too, right? You guys have a little bit of
Bronco is my guy. I had the privilege to coach his son years ago, way back in my Triumph days. Actually, that was my second year coaching.
Yeah.
Back then,
it was early.
I was a fresh coach. I was young. I used to do little events just to kind of get community involvement, because like nobody came to the games, like nobody knew we had a team. So I would just do little stuff for the parents to come out. So we did like a parent-teacher game, or
Did you play in
parents
that?
versus the
parents
students.
versus
you played
students,
in that?
Parents versus the students.
All right.
So it'll be the team and myself versus all the parents.
Okay.
We would do it during school, so everybody came and watched. Man, like
it was a good time.
Those were some good times, man.
At one point, the parents, I think could have got him right, but then when, but then when
this guy,
but when Stephen Humphries started slam dunking in 8th grade, it was over for all of us.
I started there. Those boys were in 5th grade. So by the time they got to 8th grade,
dunking in 8th grade.
By the time they got to 8th grade, like I had a group, but I had that group, man. We went everywhere. Banion was on some of them travel teams.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
like we went to Chicago.
Yeah, I was there.
We played down in Toledo. We played in 2 different leagues at the same time at one point. So these kids were just playing basketball, bro. All the time.
We're in that parents' game and Steph broke away. Boom! I was like, I need to go on the bench.
Wait a minute.
I need to go on the bench. It's over for me. I'm not going to play out here.
But the parents always won, so that we finally got them.
Yeah, they did.
Finally got them.
The parents typically won?
Yeah, well, we were big, big. We're adults.
Right.
Remember that? I can't remember. I don't remember the guy. It doesn't matter, but if you do. But remember that one time the kid was driving to the hole, and the guy, man, pretty much just bulldogged that kid down and was like talking to him. And I was like, oh, hold on a second, man. We're playing kids right now.
They took it serious. But it was like they
and one of those kids are mine, man.
I was going to say, you're on the opposing team, but wait, my son's over there.
He's trying to dunk on people.
Yeah.
It got a little competitive.
It did.
It got a little
That's fun, though, man. That's fun stuff.
That was fun. So, so when I think of Bronco, that's the Bronco Mckart I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know you're legendary, with what you've done for the community and where you're from. But for me, when I hear Bronco Mckart, I'm like, yes, the Bronco Mckart I know was at the parent teachers.
See, that's what's so beautiful. The guy, wait a minute.
He just dunked. What's going on here?
He's in 8th grade.
Right. And nobody knew he had never dunked in a game.
Right.
During the season.
And he did it during the parent.
Oh, he dunked it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's different right there, man.
That.
In the game.
Yeah.
And these podcasts are important to me, right? Because a lot of people like us that know you, we've coached your son, or they've worked at Oaks or down at the boxing, whatever. We know you, but there is a certain group, right, who just knows Bronco, the boxing champion, right? They just know that's Bronco. That's Bronco. He's the boxing champ. That's all they know, right? Is he was a champion from Monroe. So I think when you share stuff like this and when we share stories, man, it gives people a little bit of insight to the genuine person that you are, not just the boxer Bronco, but the person Bronco, if that makes sense.
No,
man.
total.
And because just to share, like this guy, so we have my uncle Jeff Kennedy, him and my uncle Jeff grew up together, man.
Really?
So we have it's small worlds, and genuine people when you meet them, and it just kind of sticks that way. That's why this is awesome. Coach, do you got a question you want to start with, or you want me to kick things off a little bit here?
I want to ask, what was the ALCC like back then? I know you said they had the boxing program. Were there a ton of other programs coming out of there, or because we ultimately want to get back to that? I mean, I know they have the boxing program now, but we should be able to, with the kids we have in the county and the talent we have, like.
At one point, we trained in a whole separate building. We fought under the ALCC banner, but we had our own building down on 3rd and Conant. There was a big boxing gym in the back. And I'm telling you what, there was a group of fighters back then. The Vinings, both, Kevin Vining, Keith
Kevin's
Vining.
my guy, man. Them are my guys
Todd
over there.
Riggs, he was a fighter back then.
Yep. Todd.
I could go on and name a list of guys that were just complete animals. Like compared to what I see in the Golden Gloves now.
Really?
Me and Todd talk about it all the time. There's a lot of youth around, not just here, but just throughout the country when I'm watching these amateur fights that I think they wouldn't even have made it through our local tournament, man. We had just a gym full of guys, but we had nothing else. You know what I mean? We didn't have, none of us had phones. None of us had PlayStations. None of us we didn't have computers to sit in front of all day long.
You worked.
All we had was boxing.
You worked.
We had sports. That's all we had.
Yeah,
we were poor kids growing up that had nothing, and we played sports, baseball, football, basketball, boxing. And boxing was that was in my family. All my uncles, my dad were all Golden Glove boxers. So I would go down there, and the community center was but for us growing up, the community center was an escape from everything else. You know what I mean? We went down there. I'm Darren Hoskins. He used to, I don't know how many times that guy kicked me out of the center. I was just a roughneck little kid, but they always showed us just a lot of love and just filled in for roles for like my dad to this day is still my best friend. I'm fortunate and blessed to have a dad that I have, but a lot of kids that didn't have dads, guys like Darren Hoskins and John Terrassi and George Barrett and all those guys used to run the community center. They were like the surrogate fathers. You know, they gave us more than just a place to hang out. They gave us discipline. They gave us structure. You know, they didn't have a lot of programs. Yes, they held us accountable. Didn't have a lot of programs like they do now.
Okay.
You know, we just had pool tables and foosball tables and basketball and ping pong, weight room and workout room. Yeah, we just went in. And like I said, we couldn't afford to go around and go to all the arcades and do all that stuff. But that was our place. That was our spot.
And that was all you knew. So that was, you know, for you, it was everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you grow up on that side of town?
I did.
Did you grow up over near ALCC?
Yeah, I grew up a couple blocks away from the community center. Yeah, but within my whole life up until about the age of 35, I was within 3 blocks of the community center.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Always.
Very nice. So stayed home, close to home.
Yeah.
Very nice. So out of curiosity, we got some good questions for you today, champ.
Okay.
Just some.
I might not have any good answers, but I'll answer.
Any answer from Bronco is a good answer.
Yeah, man. It's always good. It's great conversation. Great conversation. Who, when you were coming up, Bronco, because as I said, a lot of us look up to you, right? A lot of us younger people. I'm going on 30. You know, God bless. Let me get to 30
Amen.
Here in a few months. Right. But a lot of us look up to you. Who were some people that you looked up to when you were coming up?
You know, I looked up to my dad.
Your dad?
Yeah, my dad was my hero.
I love that.
I remember being in high school and we had to write a story on who your heroes were. And, you know, people were like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. I wrote about my dad. And I remember the teacher kind of saying, kind of took it like it was odd. And I said, well, if I have a problem and I need to reach out to somebody, I can't call Michael Jordan. I can't call Magic Johnson.
That's real.
Right.
But I can go to my dad. And I know my dad will give me anything I need.
That's real.
You know, I've always said if I called my dad right now, I said, Dad, I need both your kidneys and I ain't gonna make it through the night. He'd be like, what time? Where? You know what I mean? So knowing I have that as far as like fighters, looking up to, of course, Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Anybody that, you know, that followed any sort of boxing in that era.
Right.
And Tommy Hearns was, you know, was one of my all-time favorites for sure. Love Tommy Hearns. It was as a kid, it was just my dream just to meet him someday, right? Now me and Tommy are friends.
You've done it.
Oh,
I see the pictures, man, all the time. I love it.
He'll call, like he called me on Father's Day and wished me Happy Mother's Day. He's just silly like that, right? You know, things like that.
Right.
He just does.
How surreal is that? You know what I mean? For somebody you grew up kind of idolizing,
to
be able to in your adult life
pick up the phone. It is surreal to me. Every once in a while, we'll be out to dinner or something, and I'll say, "Man, Tommy, you know, it's just
nuts, right?
It is, right? It's just so." I remember one time when they had a party at the Regal Hall. It used to be a Regal Hall down the east side. It's an empty lot now. It's no longer there, but it used to be called the Regal Hall. And like they said, Tommy Hearns was there and Milton McCrory and all these guys. And so I ran home, got a notepad and a pen, stood outside and waited, and, you know, never got to see any of them come out, you know. But all them guys are my friends. I'll be with them next week at an event in Detroit. They're doing a real big boxing event. They got Hearns and myself and Milton McCrory, Jimmy Paul. It's going to be like 34 world champions that are strictly out of Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Right? So
incredible.
I got caught when I was like 14. I got caught stealing. I tell Tommy this. He loves this story. I got caught stealing Tommy Hearns posters out of the local library that's hooked up to the community center. They said Ring magazines here.
Yeah.
I got caught stealing posters. They kicked me out for like a year. Let me keep the posters. So I had a poster like in my bedroom, my locker in school, my workout room. You know, I had posters of Tommy all over the place. And then to be able to, like I said, just sit down with him like we're sitting down.
Incredible.
To be with him next week. And I'm going to tell this story because they want me to say some words about this event. And I'm going to tell that story at the event. You know, I got caught and how, you know, I just wanted to meet the man, and now we're friends. So it's like, if you just let things flow, let God be in control, what you dream about, he'll even make bigger. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That, right? Yes, that's gems. He dropped one. He dropped one for us. That's gems. That's big time. I actually wholeheartedly agree with that, man. I live the same way, and it's like Josh and I has talked about it, right? Like Josh sat down with D-Mac, Darren McCarty, right? Like last year, I had the pleasure of shaking hands and hanging out with Jim Harbaugh for a while, and I'm a football guy, right? So those are the moments where it's almost like how do I say it? It's it's surreal because this is somebody you looked up to, but it's also almost like that. I worked hard enough to get to the point where I get to stand on a stage with this person. Right. I should be here. Right. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I know I worked hard. I know I sacrificed. I grind. I mean, I grinded so hard. I just think of things, but still, it never resonates with me when I get called out on the stage with those kind of guys. Yeah. I never to myself do I say, man, I deserve to be here. Sometimes I just say to myself, man, I'm so blessed.
That's where you were trying to be, like that.
Right.
That was your bar.
Yes.
And you probably
very humbling.
No matter how hard you work, like I don't know, I'm not gonna get there, but this is what I'm aiming for.
Right.
Just like you said too, it's a gift from God, right? Like you. To a degree in life, not only do you have to work hard and be efficient, you have to have some cards fall in your favor at times, right? Yeah. And that's where faith and that's where God and those things come into play a lot. At least in my in my experiences, that's when those moments happen. Is like I need you work hard and He rewards you for them things, and He gives you those breaks.
He aligns the path for you for sure.
Yep, 100%.
For sure.
So honestly, before we keep going, I want to kind of stay on this. We just talked about this topic, and you said something one time. I can't remember the exact quote you said, but it was something along the lines of Monroe is a hot spot for boxing. And my question is, why, in your opinion, why has Monroe had so much success in boxing? Like, why are we so like? We obviously have the history of you. We got D Mills right now. Shout out to D. But there's so many others too, and I agree with you. I just do you have a kind of idea why?
Well, I think it boils down to not being funny, but what else is there really to do? Right. And then when you live in a city where some sport like when you think of Dundee, Michigan, you think of wrestling, right? When you think of certain places, you think of certain sports that
got a good tradition of a particular sport.
Yes, and Monroe for being as small as it is, people wise,
right?
They had some really good fighters that came out of Monroe. They didn't have a lot that maybe went to that top level in the professionals, but they had a lot of guys that won national championships, that competed at a high level, that did very well in boxing. I think the difference for me was the disciplinary fact. Why I was able to do what I did was how I lived, not inside the gym, but how I lived outside the gym. I think that was the biggest difference. I always tell young kids nowadays, I don't care what you do from Monday through Friday in the gym. It's what you do after you leave the gym on Friday to the following Monday that's going to make a difference on how you're going to have a good career, a long career, a successful career. But I think Monroe just has had such a history. There's been a lot of really good fighters that came out of Monroe that I think I always tell people my younger brother was a better fighter, naturally gifted boxer. I would tell people
Matt could box too.
Oh, Matt was more naturally gifted than I ever was. He did stuff naturally that it takes years and years and years to develop.
Wow.
But it boils down to I had one goal in mind and one goal only, and that was to strap a world championship belt on my waist. There was nothing going to stop me, is what I felt like. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. And
tunnel vision.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be. It's like if you want to get to that wall right there, and that wall is what you worked for your whole life, you can shut that door. I'm either going to figure out a way to go through it, or I'm going to take it off the hinges, or I'm going to take this chair. But I'm getting to the wall, right? And that's what I try to tell these kids. If you want something bad enough, set your mind to it.
Do you think kids are less willing to sacrifice now to get to some of the things they want?
Well, you see it, right? And when I say you see it like when I went to field day for Triumph back in 7th, 8th grade or whatever, and they asked me to come out there and hang out on field day. So I went out there and I was looking around. I said, well, where's the softball throw and the 100-yard dash? What do you want me to work? Oh, we don't have any of that. Well, what do you have? Got this little balloon game over there, and you got and everybody gets an award, right? and everybody gets an award, and see that really is not a good thing, because if all three of us wanted a certain job and we all interview for it, we're all not getting it.
Only one of us get it.
Right. How they going? Yeah.
Yeah, they decide because
can't.
only one person can get it.
Yep.
So there can only be one first place and one second place. And not everybody gets an award. That has made I'm not going to say like a weaker, it just made a weaker mindset.
It's a different mindset.
Yeah, it's made a weaker mindset of what success and hard work, discipline, and all that really chalks up to. It just kind of made a different mindset. Like, oh, I'm just going to get it because I tried.
Because I'm here, so that mean I'm old.
It's the and
it doesn't work. It's not real life.
I hate this word, but it is. It's the entitlement thing.
Mhm.
It's the I should have what you have or what others have,
Just
whether
because.
I work for it or not. Just because I'm here, I'm born.
Yeah,
And it's a toxic way to go about things.
it's not real life.
It's not
Right.
real
It
life.
is not real life. It's not what happens when you get out of the school walls and you hit the real world.
Or
You
off
have
the
to-
basketball court, football,
anything.
out of the boxing ring.
Anything. You have to earn it.
You gotta earn it.
Yeah.
Nobody's giving away anything.
No, not at all. 100%. That's a huge message, especially to the kids listening, because we have a ton of kids that tune in. So everything you're saying is stuff that a lot of times us as coaches, like we're telling them, right? But it's especially good to hear it or cool to hear it from somebody that they know has made it to the very top of the game, right? Where they're trying to go. Like you said, I broke through the wall, and it's good for the kids to hear that kind of stuff. So out of curiosity, and this one just kind of came to mind as we were talking, you said kids, and I love this because most of us coaches, if I'm being transparent, we harp on the kids on what they should be doing in the times they're at. You need to get to the gym. You need to spend an hour doing mobility training. You need to spend 30 minutes doing lifting, this and that. But what you kind of did is almost reversed it and flipped it and said, you're going to show up to the gym. You're going to do what you need to do at the gym, but it's the things you're doing outside of that. For the kids that are listening, elaborate kind of what were some ways that you prioritized or things that you prioritized in saying, I got a fight coming. I'm training hard. I'm outside my training hours. These are the things I need to do to make sure I stay tip top.
Well, anybody who really truly knows me knows that when I was fighting, nobody ever saw me out.
Okay.
You might have seen me at the grocery store.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You might have
Right.
seen, but you didn't see me out, right? Didn't mess around with any alcohol, didn't mess around with any of that stuff.
Impressive.
I was focused. You know what I mean? I was completely focused. A treat for me, like after a fight, for some reason, I always wanted a 7-Up and a Snickers. Not sure why.
just
but that's what I
thing.
wanted. Yeah, I always
Right.
wanted that. And so I remember like winning big fights, major fights, whether it be breaking in the top 10 or world championship or rank number 1, whatever. All my people would be celebrating. I'd be drinking 7-Up, eating the Snickers. You know what I mean? I didn't get into that.
Okay.
And because I felt like I'm sacrificing time away from my kids, right? At that point in my life.
Yeah,
I was
100%.
a professional. I'm sacrificing time away from my family. I'm missing birthday parties. I'm missing weddings. Why, if I'm missing all that, am I going to cheat myself by putting something in my body that's not going to do me right anyways when I get in the ring, right? So I lived a very disciplined, just clean life. And that's why I was able to fight 22 years as a professional. You know, I went longer than I should have, but I still did 22 years.
2 years is
as a professional. Yeah.
Dude, that's
And
crazy longevity.
Yeah.
It is. That's awesome.
But when you
Sports
look at,
especially.
yes, you look at guys like Kobe Bryant. He's one of my favorite examples. You know, a guy be in the gym at 5:30 thinking I'm going to beat Kobe, and Kobe's already been there an hour. Then the guy's done at 7. Kobe's there till 8. You know what I mean? But that's why he was what he was.
That's how we got there.
Exactly.
That's how we got
and that's
there.
how he stayed there. Right? It's hard work. Hard work, and you get cliche, but hard work beats talent all day long. Right?
100%.
We all know that. We used to always say a bad
100%.
fighter in good shape can beat a good fighter in bad shape.
Oh yes.
I live by that.
That's great.
I always said to myself, if I go into a fight and we are absolutely 100% equally skilled, speed, you know, all that. When it comes to will and conditioning, you're not going to beat me. That's the one thing I refuse to lose on. You know, so it just takes hard work to be successful at anything.
Yeah, 100%. So In today's, I know this is going to be kind of a tough question, but today's it's hard, right? And it's very difficult. We got 3 intelligent people here though that have either coached or played, sports at the highest level or high levels. What do we do? Like, how do we get the kids? Because I hate saying it because I do it at football, right? I say, the kids it doesn't feel like they love the game like people used to. It doesn't feel like they want to invest it as much. Like, how do we fix it, fellas? Like, how do we go about trying to get kids back in the gym, like they used to be, and to get off the cell phone and get your 8 hours of sleep every night, or your, whatever is essential for you?
I don't know if we can get them back to how it was, because like you said, like Bronco said, that the only option you had to do was go box.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's just so many
options, and then there's so many ways to communicate with other people. So competition is going to be a little watered down. That don't mean them guys doesn't want to win, but like if I grew up in Alabama and you grew up here in Michigan, we could talk to each other every day if we wanted to. Mm-hmm. Whereas 20 years ago, it's a little more difficult to talk to that person.
I think too, just like with anything else that's going on, it all starts at home.
Yeah. With the families, with the parenting.
I remember my ex-wife, she was really good at, when the kids got home from school, she would say, first things first, get the homework done. When you get the homework done, you have 1 hour to play whatever you want for 1 hour. Then you're going to have snacks, and it's going to be fruit. You know what I mean? She cut up water. Very good. She was great at that. She was absolutely fantastic.
But it took a lot on her end to be that discipline as well.
Yep. And I think that goes for these kids nowadays too. You to get them to be disciplined, to want to be disciplined in a sport, it's got to structured. It's got to start at home.
Yeah, 100%.
You as coaches, sometimes you're the coach and the dad. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's a double role, and that's kind of hard. And some of the only discipline and structure that these kids are getting are from people like yourselves.
100%,
which is huge.
I appreciate that. We do as coaches. I try to tell the kids, sports, whether it's boxing, football, basketball, it's like to me, what these kids do, it's all correlates, right? So if they, for example, if they're one of those kids who's like, mom's like, hey, I need you to do the dishes for me. I've been at work all day and I got to do this, and your little brother and, all this other stuff going on. And that kid's like, I just don't feel like it. I'm not going to do it. I guarantee you he's going to do the same thing in school. Yep. I guarantee you he's going to come to practice. And when I ask him to run a drill, he's going to blow it off or run it. So I try super hard as a coach to be like, look, fellas, this is not stuff. You don't take moments off as a person. You have to be a person, and that's your integrity, all the things Bronco was talking about today. It's all them things that make up, but it has to be, it all correlates. And I try to tell them, because some guys will say, well, no, I don't like doing dishes. So every time you find something you don't like, now we know your character is skip it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how I try as a coach to get the kids to like, who you are as a person, man, is who you're going to be as a student athlete too. So just remember that. If you're not, like you said, sleeping well, taking care of yourself, staying away from alcohol, that's a big one, man. I actually love that you said that, because that was, and then you shared the Kobe story, and I lost my thought, but I wanted to share it. My favorite Kobe story is the one where he talks about how the dudes asked him to go out and drink. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he was like, all right, I'm going to go out to the club. He didn't say I was going to drink, but he said, I'm going to go to the club, but you have to go through my routine the next day. Yep. So they go out to the club. Kobe's at the door at 4 in the morning. Bang, bang, bang. I went out with y'all last night till 1 in the morning, 2 a.m. Hey, it's time to get in the gym. Now it's my turn, right? And that was one of my favorite stories. And when you said the alcohol thing, because that's a killer for athletes, man, honestly.
Just the discipline in general.
Yeah, 100%.
What did I think Mike Tyson had a quote, said something along the lines of discipline is doing something you hate but doing it like you love it.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
You know what I mean?
No, that's 100% true.
Yeah, you have to, or like Muhammad Ali, when they said, how many setups do you do in a workout? He said, I don't know. I don't start counting until it hurts.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about.
That's legit. So when you were fighting, man, when it came down to like week of the fight or getting ready for training or getting ready even for the fight, did you have any rituals or routines that you went through that you were like, okay, I'm going up against this guy. This is my routine that I do every single fight or every training period?
Well, I guess the ritual would be I usually rent it. I'm going to age myself right now. I'd go to Blockbuster, and I would pick up usually like 3 or 4 movies.
Okay.
And in the house that I stayed with my dad, we had a big pocket door in the living room, and I'd shut that pocket door off for like 3 days, and I would just watch like violent movies.
Okay.
That was one of my rituals. One of those
I
things.
love it.
I would just sit in here and watch like violent movies, and then I would. I always had to get a haircut day before, day of the fight. That was always
Okay.
Jones Barbershop.
Oh yeah, Jones Barbershop always did, and I used to wear a little beard back in the day, and they'd line me up, and I was, certain things I like to wear certain socks, certain, there were just certain things.
Yeah.
But I remember I was in Connecticut and I was fighting this guy, and he had like 39, I think, wins, knocked out 36 people. And, he was English Pedroza was his name. And I was like, I didn't pack my fight underwear, right? I didn't. So I was in my hotel and I was looking, and I almost went into a panic, right? And I sat down on the edge of the bed. I said, think about this, Bronco. Every day you train in the gym to prepare for this guy. You didn't have them on. You didn't wear those because those were packed away special for my fights. I only fought and washed them. They went in the bag in my drawer. They were fight only, right? I said, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You train every day. You prepared. You're ready to go. But I did have rituals or superstitions or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
But
the mental part is nuts, right? You had to talk yourself out. I
had to talk myself down, man. I'm like, I'm going to fight this killer, and I don't have the right underwear, man. What the? Oh man, this dude's gonna kill me now.
Hey, we laugh, but it's so true though. It's 100% spot on.
It's true, man.
You be second guessing yourself now. Like, wait.
Wear your wristband at a certain part on your wrist. Like,
it all matters.
It probably never
to your mentally.
To your mental.
It makes you feel like it's doing something though. I have rituals before our football games, and I'm like, I've been doing them for 6 years now. I ain't stopping.
I know. I always had to clean my house. My house had to be clean, spotless. Right? Look, I'm getting ready to fight. I'm getting ready to fight a killer. I'm in the living room vacuuming. It just was what it was.
Oh man. So that's awesome. Couple pre-fight rituals, and that's great though. What did the clean house just give you, like a feeling of serenity when you left?
No, it just
calm.
I remember like Jerry Rice saying after every football game, before every football game, I should say, or after, whenever he did it, he always polished his helmet, wanted to make sure his shoes were clean. Everything was clean. He said, because if I knew if I went on the field clean, played clean, looked clean, I was gonna play like clean. And I thought, that was me. I always just wanted everything.
It's like a chef. So
almost
a chef
like,
always wears a white jacket.
Right.
Yes.
They got the sleeves rolled up. They don't get dirty.
Right.
Almost like the Dion thing, man. You got to look good, feel good, play good, pay good, all the way through.
Yeah.
That's the whole, Dion thing. So we talked about kind of some lessons, man, that you took from boxing that you applied to life today, as far as, discipline and commitment. Is there anything else that you kind of took that, like every day boxing taught me that, and I need it?
Yeah.
Like what are a couple things that today as a man without boxing you may not have been? That's a good way to put it. You may not be in the same position. Boxing provided that tool.
I remember one time I shared a post on Facebook, and I'm not going to remember the whole post because it was quite a long one, but it was just kind of about life and compared it to boxing. I said, I remember as a fighter one time, I hurt my left hand so bad that I couldn't pour milk or turn a doorknob for a year. I fought 3 times in that year, and I fought 2 top 10 Ring Magazine fighters in the 1996 Olympic alternate and beat all 3 of them. I said, I couldn't get out of bed because my ribs were separated. I couldn't sit up to get out of bed. I'd have to roll over, get out on my knees, push myself up, tape my chest up so I could go run so it wouldn't bounce when I was running, right?
Wow.
I said all those things not for like, praise or for like, oh man, I said all those things to say that boxing is life. You're going to get hurt in life, right? There's going to be mornings where you just don't feel like you can get out of bed, but you got to roll over and push yourself up, right? Get out of bed, because in a fight in boxing, I've been knocked down. I'm here though, right? I walked in, I didn't stay down. Same thing with life. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get injured mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. There's going to be a lot of different things in life that's going to throw things at you.
Yeah.
But it's like a fight, man. As long as you get up before the count of 10 and you continue on, you have a chance. Right? You always have a chance. you always have to move forward and just keep pressing forward, man. Never look back.
It's a beautiful way to look at it, honestly. And boxing is, and obviously I'm a football guy, but boxing is a great analogy.
It's a great correlation.
It is, and I love the way he put it. There's a lot of lessons that we correlate in our sports, right, to life, but that as a whole is a great correlation. I love what you said about the 10-second count, man, because I've been dealing with, to be transparent, health issues, and I actually left here last week, and we wrecked the car, and like things have been crazy, man. But it's every. I find myself, you find yourself in the moment being frustrated at times, right? But then, man, I'm telling you, like a half hour in, I'm like, okay, we're back up. We still have a chance.
The peace to be able to move on,
right?
You can't move on through all that rage.
100%. And if you do, you're not.
Judgment.
You're not moving on.
That's right.
Yeah, you're not moving on without any productivity, right? That's always my thing. Is like you can't. If you fall and you stay down, and that's the problem with, and this is touchy, I know it is, but that's the problem with a lot of our society is we have no ability to get punched. We have kind of lost that ability to handle adversity, to handle life.
Everybody's a victim.
Every victimhood. Right. Yeah.
You're either a victim or a victor. Yeah, right.
100%.
I chose to be the other one. You know, I've had things. We've all had things happen in life. You just had to move
far
past
beyond your control.
That's right.
You know what's crazy about that though? I think about that a lot lately because I actually think I was somebody who went from one to the other. If we're being like real, I think I was somebody who was like, why is all this stuff happening through my 20s? And then I realized like, well, some of it was decision making. Right. Some of it was bad luck. Right. But I just thought like, and then it changed. It was about probably when I started coaching, man, to be honest, it started to flip and I started to go, like one, it was seeing all the kids and seeing some of their situation. I'm like, this kid's 14 and he's living alone. Like, how am I supposed to be mad about my situation? This kid's 14 and living alone. And some of it was like Bronco said, man, it's just counting your blessings and understanding that every day you wake up, you have a chance to fight. You have a chance to get up and claw back into the game and try to do something and make something of yourself.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Bronco, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment outside of boxing? Like, what is something that you hang your hat on?
That's easy. That's three of them. It's Banyan, Brooklyn, and Whitley.
The kids?
Yeah,
100%.
That's my three greatest accomplishments in and out of the ring. That's the three greatest accomplishments in my life. No ifs or buts about it.
We coached him a long time ago. I just got to ask, what's he up to these days?
He lives in New York.
Banyan lives in New York?
Banyan's in New York, and it's funny because I was just telling somebody today. I said they asked me about his degree, or it was yesterday. I said it's long. I said I had to record it on the phone. I said, Banyan, what's your degree in? And he gave me the big, I recorded it. I said, but he went out there and started working at a restaurant, and he's making so much money. Right now he's not even messing around with his degree.
Okay,
but yeah, he's in New York, but he loves it. I'm supposed to go out there in June. They're going to have a real big fight reunion out there. I'm going to make it a 2-for-1. Stay with Banyan while I'm out there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Tell Coach Jones so.
I will. He'll like that.
That will be an incredible experience, man. I love that too. Glad to hear he's doing good. Other kids are doing good too. Everybody's doing good.
Yeah, everybody's doing great.
Love to hear that, man. I know. Actually, funny enough, we were talking about it earlier, but the year that I was with you at Triumph, Banyan was actually on the team, and I remember that he was a good kid, man. Worked hard. I do remember that part about him.
Work hard.
He did, man. Worked extremely hard.
Shoes always looked too big, and his hair was always in the way.
That's a good description.
Hey, what grade are we talking? The 7th, 8th? That's kind of
it was about 6th, 7th grade.
He had that Justin Bieber hair back then.
He had the Bieber hair. He was, he was in the in between. He was getting taller, but he wasn't really filling out. So his feet was kind of long, his hair was kind of long.
Yeah, that's great.
Shout out Banyan, man.
Shout out to Banyan.
He gonna watch this. Give me a call.
I'm gonna let him know.
So what? After boxing, what came next for you, champ? What happened? What's next? What happened after boxing? I know you believe you stepped out in 2014. You retired, right? 2014. What's been up since 2014?
Well, I've been busy. I retired in July 2014. I got put on the boxing commission for the state of Michigan in August of the same year.
Very nice.
Been on there since.
What does that involve, out of curiosity?
So, we implement all the rules, regulations, fines, suspensions, things like that. Also, a part of one of the duties is I approve all the professional fights that take place in the state of Michigan. So they come through me. I look at them and say, yeah, we can have this fight or no.
Venue, everything you approve.
No, that comes through. That comes through one step over me.
Okay.
They just send it to me to say this is the fight date, this is the venue, this is the thing. Then they'll send me the fighters.
That's big time stuff, though, man.
I like it.
Awesome.
I enjoy it. It keeps me active.
Good guy
in the
to
game.
have in that role too, though.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I do that. I'm a supervisor at the Monroe County Road Commission.
Okay.
So I run like 7 districts or 7 townships in the county. Anything road related, I talk with the township supervisors, things
that's
like
big
that.
Time. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. And then I do real estate also.
Okay, I did see that
banker,
recently, and our former guest Pat and Bronco.
Oh yeah. My cousin went through there and get pre-approved through him.
So shout out to Howard Hanna again.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so you're doing the real estate thing. That's here in Monroe, then?
Yeah. I'm with Coldwell Banker Haynes Real Estate over there in Telegraph.
Okay.
Actually, my girlfriend's parents, they own it.
Okay.
So I didn't have really other option to go anywhere else.
Smart man.
Yeah, right.
I'm
kidding. It's a great company.
Hey, check them out if you're go talk to Bronco if you're looking for somebody. If you're in the market, make sure you get a hold of Bronco. He'll take care of you. Bronco, this is probably a crazy question, but I've seen crazy things happen. Would you ever step back in the ring?
No, I mean I've been offered. Believe me, over the past 5 years, I've probably been offered 10 different times.
Bet, man.
Wow.
Yeah. And no, I really don't have any interest in it. First of all, I'm too old.
Okay.
I mean, I keep myself in shape.
Right.
There's nobody in my age bracket I'm going to worry about. You know what I mean? But these young 20-some-year-old lions, I'm just an old lion wants to sit on the hill and just watch them anymore. But
hungry
no, I just don't. That's the thing. Could I physically get up, get prepared, get ready for a fight and all that? Yeah, because it was about probably 7 years ago. There was a fight that was offered that I was going to take in 6 years ago, I think it was. And
Okay.
I was up, I was training. I went down, sparred one day, got hit with a clean body shot. I sparred 10 rounds, right? I got clipped with 3 different guys, 10 rounds, got hit with a clean body shot. And I thought to myself, man, I took that like nothing. That's a young gun too. They hit me, you know.
You started to get a little itch.
No, but I went home that night, went to bed, everything was fine.
The next day,
alarm went off. I was like, oh. I rolled over and I pushed myself out of bed, got to my phone.
It's off.
I'm not doing it. Yeah. I just didn't have it here. I wasn't willing to push my body through all that again, man. I pushed myself through a lot of pain, a lot of injuries, a lot of things for a lot of years. And believe me, boxing.
It's because you wanted to.
Yes. And then you
don't want to.
No,
it's a different
I don't have the desire. If I ever get another fight again, it won't be scheduled. It'll just be one.
I'm about this close, like that with basketball.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? Like, were you at peace with it? Not like, oh man, like 10 years, 20 years ago, I would have just ate that and got out of bed and went back to training.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you feel after making the decision? Like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, when the decision really came for me when I did my retirement is I was boxing this young kid one day, 20-something-year-old kid, pretty good amateur fighter, and I was just working on timing. So I was moving around. I was baiting this kid for like 2 rounds. I was doing things. He was biting him. He don't know it yet because he's not at that level, right? So we get to the 3rd round. I make my move. He makes it. Boom. I shoot a left hand. He shoots a right, and it goes right, left. Like his hits, mine lands. His hit first, just by a split second. But it was like boom.
Right.
So I got home that night and I was laying in the chair for like 2 hours staring at the ceiling. I was trying to think of every reason in the world why that kid landed before me. He didn't know it. Nobody saw it. I knew it.
Yeah.
And I just finally said to myself, timing. Now, if that had been a world-class fighter.
You had perfect timing and still lost that moment.
Yep. By a split second. See, and that's what boxing is. And that's what all sports are. Yeah. It's a split second.
Yep.
Right. So when that happened, I said to myself, I had one more fight coming up after that. I said to myself, told my dad and everybody, I said, after this fight's over, I'm done. I'm retiring. I don't care what's next. I don't care who they offer me. I'm done. Because that brought me to a reality that if that had been a world-class fighter with little 8-ounce, 10-ounce gloves, could have been an issue. So I said, nah, I was just done. Another thing too, when I used to never miss a day at the gym. There were times we buried my grandma, and I left the funeral, went home, changed my clothes, and went to the gym because I had a fight coming up. I mean, that's the kind of guy I was, right?
Yeah.
So
it's dedication. Man.
When I got older, though, and it would be like, get up one day and say, it's Monday, I'm tired. I'll double up on Tuesday. It's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Once procrastination
it's over. In. At a high level, if you want to be high level, and you start
stay
missing
at a high level.
Right. Because I never would miss. You always found reasons to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The day you find a reason to start missing your workouts,
You got a problem.
especially if you're trying to do it at a high level, it's over. Just chalk it up and be recreational at that point.
And see, I think for a guy like you and a guy like even guys like us, I think it's and even a guy, I think that's why we saw Kobe walk out when he did. Like, could Kobe have played another season and averaged 15? Like, yeah, but like, at what point are you like, I can't be where I want to be at the level just because of like nature, right? Like
Tom Brady, good example.
Time. Yeah, Tom. I'm sure Tom would love to play another year.
He was right there last year, but then that last game, he was throwing them crazy interceptions, and then it was like, man, you can see it. It's all just,
and he knew it too.
Yep, that's why he just finally said
he knew it.
Yep, he knew 100%. You know his time, and Tom had about a year or two, man, where he was still pretty good, but he was starting to show it. But then, like you said, I feel like there's always that moment where it's like Bronco just explained his moment, right? There's that moment where you go, damn,
when nobody even seen it.
I'm not there no more where I used to be. But
yeah. What was it? The Washington Wizards, Michael Jordan.
Oh,
right?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, come on. You just hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Almost like Jordan plays for them.
You don't even remember.
Nobody remembers that.
Right. Good thing.
You don't. Yeah, right. No kidding. You don't even remember. Bronco, what is? I got a couple quick questions for you here before we wrap this up. Okay. What's your thoughts on guys like Jake Paul stepping into the ring? Like, do you have an honest opinion? Are you bothered by it? Disrespectful to the sport? Good for the sport?
You know, it's a mixture of all the above, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, but he is bringing a lot of
attention.
Yeah, he is bringing a lot of attention to the sport.
Right.
Having these young kids maybe that are podcast followers or stuff that would never watch boxing, at least watch it, and then maybe you might grab a few from that pot, you know, so going forward. Get some eyes. He does do some good things though, like when he has some cards and the people underneath him aren't making as much money. I know one of his cards, he took $1 million of his own purse and broke it up between the other fighters, so they all got bumped up really well in pay. Okay. So he does do some things that are very classy. Overall, not a fan. Don't really think that if he fights, like he got beat by that Fury guy, and that Fury guy is not all that either, to be honest with you. He's just got the last name, but he doesn't have the ability to go with it.
That's Tyson's kid, right?
Brother. But if Jake Paul fights a real fighter, like a real top 10 guy, he won't make it.
I kind of have thought that myself.
No,
too.
he won't.
I've agreed with you. No. I've kind of thought that too.
Yeah,
How's he going to survive in a real?
But he's doing some good with what he's doing. Like I said, he does up these fighters' purses. And
I think it's coming from a good place,
right? And kudos to him, man, for giving it a shot.
I don't think he's trying to make
right. Shu, you've been in the ring, man.
I think he's taking it seriously.
He is taking it seriously.
He's not professional.
No.
This guy went from sitting here in front of a mic to getting pummeled and throwing punches, man. So, like, you've been in the ring. You know what that heat's like. I mean, I got to respect it, too.
I do. I respect what he's doing. Yeah, he works hard.
Step in there.
He works hard. He tries.
I got a question for you. So, you say Tommy Hearns is your...
Oh, yeah.
Is he your GOAT? So I guess it's a two-part question. Is he your greatest of all time?
No, the GOAT is Ali.
Okay.
The GOAT is Ali.
So, I guess my next one then is, what's your favorite Tommy Hearns moment? Like, what made you be like, okay, I want to box like him. I want to.
Man, of course, the time when Tommy Hearns knocked out Pepino Cuevas to win the WBA welterweight championship, man, I was just a young kid and I watched him knock him out, and it was like, oh man, I think that was his first world title, and I was just like, wow, it just captured me. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh man. And then of course his fights with Sugar Ray Leonard. His fight with Marvin Hagler. Some of his best fights were his losses. Right. But Tommy Hearns was a fighter, man. He was a fighter's fighter. When he showed up, no matter if it was decision, knockout, draw, you knew you were getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tommy Hearns, when he showed up, you got excitement all night.
Yeah. Who do you got now in the game right now? Who's the best boxer right now, who you think? Any weight class. Not necessarily pound for pound, but who do you think like the best overall boxer is?
Man, I'll tell you what, I like Terrence Crawford.
Okay.
Terrence Bud Crawford. That guy he has just an instinct about him. And I watch his fights and I'll sit with people and I'll say, fight's gonna be over in 2 rounds. He's starting to turn it up. He's doing little things. He's slowly, methodically breaking people, and he loves it. He gets this look, and he loves just doing his job. Man. He's good. I like Crawford. He's one of my favorite.
The passion for the for the game, right?
Oh,
Passion for your craft.
The little things.
For your craft.
The little things.
Yeah.
I love that. So that was actually one of my questions, man, on here was who's in your Mount Rushmore of boxing? You know, who's your
Like all time?
you
Mount
said
Rushmore.
Ali, right? And
Ali. I'm gonna put Hearns in there. You have to put Sugar Ray Robinson in there.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have to throw. I mean, boy, you got to throw Leonard. I could throw Joe Louis. I mean, I have to have 5 at least, and those would be my 5. But Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, pound for pound in the history of boxing, they flop back and forth 1 and 2, depending on who you're talking to.
We're just out of curiosity, because I was a fan of him, to be honest, transparent with y'all. And I know he's a different weight class than some of these guys, but where does Mayweather fall on your list? Where's he at? Is he a guy that's towards the top, but not quite in the top 5? Or is he a guy?
Oh, he's not top 5. No, he's not top 5. He might go top 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, let's go. He was 50-0 and all that, and that's all fine and dandy. That's great. That's a hard thing. Can't argue that point.
Right.
But here's what I tell people all the time, or I ask them. You got Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Wilfred Benitez. They all fought each other. They all round robin each other, those 5. Sometimes twice. You're telling me if you put Mayweather in as a 6th guy and he fought Hearns, Leonard, Duran, Hagler, and Benitez, he's still going to keep that O?
No, that's 100% no.
It ain't happening. No, he might be 0-5 in those fights. He might have got Benitez, and he might have got Duran, but not at lightweight. He would have never got Duran at lightweight. But at welterweight, Tommy Hearns.
See, and I do like Floyd. Don't get me wrong. I also know out of them 50, there was a lot of matches where Floyd picked matches that he knew were beneficial for him in a way that he could not just get paid, right? He's a businessman, not just get paid, but like he knew it was a match. Like the chances of me losing to this guy is not very high. But I'm gonna add one. But he did beat some guys.
He beat a lot of good guys.
He did,
and he beat them easy. And I think where people get maybe lost in that is he beat them so easy that they felt like that
the talent wasn't there.
But it was, because those guys give everybody else trouble. But Floyd was special in the things that he did. But one of the GOATs of all time, you got to put him in there somewhere. But he doesn't go in my top, maybe my top 10.
I came into boxing late, so Roy Jones Jr. was my favorite.
Loved Roy Jones, bro.
My first favorite boxer was Roy Jones Jr. That's who made me kind of like boxing.
No.
I think he went through some crazy stuff in his life, man. But I loved Roy Jones when he was boxing.
A prime Roy Jones would have been. He still go down as one. Hey, I'm going to tell you the guy. I'm going to tell you the guy, James Toney. When James Toney was in shape and focused, nobody beats.
What's
James
his best weight classes? He
middleweight,
all of them.
Middleweight.
Okay.
And super middleweight, super middleweight. That was the 2 best James Toneys you ever seen. And that James Toney could have fought any fighter in any era and could beat him. Yeah.
I got 2 questions left for you, champ. So with all this being said, we just talked about Jake Paul and boxing and tension. What's the state of the sport in boxing to you? Like, or is it we just talked about it with Pat. What's the state of baseball? We've talked about football and the game and how it's changing. Like, what are some ways the sport's changing, and what is the state of the game right now?
I think it's good. I think it's good. I mean, there was a law a few years ago, but then they realized they had, in order to compete with MMA, because that's the biggest competitor,
100%,
they had to start putting fights on TV. So they started put free fights. So they started doing the ESPN. They started doing the PBC boxing. So
that's something they didn't do then before that at all.
No, it was just,
I always remember paying for pay-per-views myself, but I just was curious.
But the sport of boxing is
crazy though that they've never.
No, but the money is still great, still better than the MMA money. Like Mayweather one time made more in one fight than the whole MMA fighters all made in 1 year.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
before,
and so
stuff like that.
But it's starting to get back because they need to put the big fights together.
Yeah.
When the guys are in their prime, when they're both
do you think that's because these guys don't want to fight each other?
See, everybody wants to be an Instagram star. Look at my workout. Look how pretty I nobody's beat me, and Floyd kind of ruined that with the 50-0 because all your greatest fighters in history have losses.
Yes, they do.
Because the greats fought the greats 100%. In their prime.
Yep.
And in order to be great, you have to beat the great, right?
I always said, even with Floyd's fight when he fought Manny so late. And I said, if them two would have went at it in the primes, I wonder, and maybe he still wins.
I say
but
so.
I wonder if it would have been any different or just because I watched the fight and like Pacquiao did a little bit here and there, but it wasn't. It was never a fight. It was never a fight, man, where I was like, ooh, this is good, and Floyd's in trouble. I think if they were at least in their prime, Floyd may have won, but I think at least you get something.
I said that fight was going to be boring. I said it'd be one of the most boring, hypest fights you've ever heard about in your life. It's going to be so hyped up, you're going to pay $100. And I've seen.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
I did too.
And I said I've seen better fights in the Kroger parking lot. No. But it was
for free.
Yeah, right. I might even have been one or two of them. I don't know. No. It's good.
That's awesome though to hear kind of about boxing and how I love that, man, that they're bringing it to the TV. I think that's super cool just to help get viewership up. So just this wasn't something I was going to ask, but I want to kind of talk to you. Do you talk to D Mills?
Yes.
You do? So I was going to ask you, do you mentor these guys, or are you close to these guys that are coming up in our community today in that field?
Well, I mean, I'm not like there every day. I'm not any of those things. I go to their fights.
Okay.
I definitely go to their fights. I call D Mills typically after almost every fight. I didn't have to this last fight because there really wasn't much to critique. He just kind of went on and did what he was supposed to do.
Right on.
Right. But normally I call him to talk about what I see, where he needs,
very nice,
what could be done better, and if you want to get to that next level, what you have to do. I'm not saying it in a way of and anything negative. He still has a lot to learn. He's talented. He's a hard worker, in great shape. I love D Mills because he's great for the community, because he's a good-hearted person, and I want to see him. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him, take that torch and be the next guy. And I like I said, there's just things that he needs to work on, and I point him out to him, and he listens. He's humble.
He's very humble.
Yeah, he listens and he tries to apply it, but I just like I said, there's just a few things that I would like to see improvement on if he's going to go to that next level.
I was gonna say, if he does those things, has he got a chance to take this thing pretty far?
Yeah, I believe he does. I mean,
very nice.
Obviously proved in 2 fights ago that he can take a good shot, because he walked into a right hand, got knocked down, got up, and ended up dominating the rest of the fight. So that was good to see. But I called him after the fight. I said, man, I'm sitting there with Tommy Hearns ringside watching the fight. Halfway through the first round, me and Tommy both said to each other, this guy's setting him up for a right hand, and he don't see it. I said, I know. Second round, boom, he got knocked down. I told Mills, I said, what you have to work on, one thing is, A, knowing when you're getting set up, and B, knowing how to set the other guy up the way you're being set up. Boxing, you're moving like 5 moves ahead.
That stuff is so.
I mean, you're really thinking
so strategic.
You want him thinking he's setting you up when you're really setting him up.
Yeah, it's a cat and mouse for long. Chess, huh? Yeah, and I love that. That's probably why. I just got a revelation. That's probably why I love like cat and mouse movies, where people are always trying to like those movies, and you're trying to figure out at the end who got who, and then when it comes out, you're like, oh yeah, okay. That's probably why.
I love it, man. D is a good friend of ours.
Great
Shout
guy.
out to D Mills.
Absolutely.
If you guys don't follow D, go follow him. Check out info. He's got fights. He just actually had a fight, so I don't think he has anything scheduled now. But make sure you stay tuned for his next fight. Usually does them at the Motor City Casino. It's a good time out there. You can go out there and watch D and support, like Bronco said, our next guy coming up in the boxing game. Right, that's our guy. We have our champ. We're waiting for the next champ, and he's working his way through the ranks and doing his thing. And we love D Mills here.
Absolutely.
Actually, will be a future guest on the show. So Bronco, last question.
Sure.
And I had to hit Pat with this one last show. I always got to kind of end on something just fun, man, for the audience. What's the best boxing match you've ever either been a part of or watched? Actually, you know what? Let's make it personal. What's the best one you've been a part of?
All right. Well, see, this ain't gonna be okay. So when I won the world championship, that was big, of course, because that's what I set out to do. But it was bigger than that, because about a year before I got to win the world championship, my grandpa passed away. And my grandpa was a huge support of mine, big, and I loved my grandpa, man. We were tight. We were super tight. My mom's dad. And so I told him, I said, Grandpa, because he was in the hospital. I said, man, I said, Grandpa, I'm about a year away, man. I'm right in the mix right now. I'm getting ready to fight for a world title. I said, I'm going to win that world title, and I want you to hold that belt, and all that, so he didn't make it. So when I was getting ready to train for the fight, I had a shirts made, 7 shirts, and they had the number 4 dash and the letter U, 4U, and it was just a picture of me and him on it. So I had 7 shirts made so I could train every day in that shirt.
Right.
And so when I won the world title, actually when we got the opportunity to fight for the world title, we bought a ringside seat for my grandpa, put his picture in it, he always wore a floppy hat, put his floppy hat in it. And I won the world championship, put the shirt on in the ring, held his picture, bawled like a baby, man.
Right.
And got back from Michigan, took my belt, went out to the tombstone. That's the only time I ever visited a gravesite. I just don't do those things. But laid it on the tombstone, me and my 2 uncles, who have both passed away since. But we stood out there and we just told great stories and laughed and different things about my grandpa. And so that was a promise kept.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Love it.
And that no moment before that or after that, as far as in the boxing ring, ever meant anything
like
to me
that.
Like that level. Yeah.
And that just that whole thing happened to be the night you won the title.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story. Bronco, where can these guys find you? Where can we find you? Or if somebody wants to contact you for even for the housing business, real estate, boxing questions, where can the audience find you?
Usually walking down. No, I'm just kidding. Walking my dog. But no, I mean, I'm on Instagram. I'm simple. I'm on Bronco Mckart on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Bronco Mckart. I'm a Bronco Mckart Colwell banker on Facebook. So that's pretty much it. I can be reached easy, man. Somebody knows somebody who knows me if you really need to get in contact with me. But
that's the truth.
Yeah. So I'm just out on all the social media. Just easy to find. Just my name, Bronco Mckart. Look it up, and if I can help you in any way, it doesn't have to just be in real estate, boxing. Just I like to try to talk to not just the youth, but anybody. I'm no psychologist, psychiatrist, but I've been through things in my life.
Right.
And you figure out how to work through them. I'm very reachable, very accessible, and thankful to be here today. Thank you.
Hey, we appreciate you, Bronco, big time. We hope we have you back again. We'd love to have you back on the show. We're going to be expanding this show in some different ways and doing some things. Obviously, we got some things going on with the background today on the show, and Josh has been in there working. And shout out to Josh for doing everything to help this podcast grow. But we would definitely love to have you back on, guys. You heard Bronco. Reach out to him. He said it. His phone's on. His DMs are open. His emails are open. Whatever. If you need to get a hold of him, I promise you guys, he's very easy to talk to. This guy will help you out. He's helped me out throughout my life. I've had numerous conversations with him. So make sure you guys reach out. And you guys can find Kennedy Health and Wellness on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you guys go check us out. You can find Coach Jones on Instagram. He don't have a Facebook yet, but we working on it. We're working on it. You can also find Coach K Training on Facebook and Instagram. And before we go, make sure you guys go check out Big Back Prep. You guys can find that on Instagram. That's our new sports training for football players that's starting in this area right now, just running backs and linebackers, but we're looking to expand, doing some things for the kids in the area. So thanks again, champ.
Thank you.
Hope you guys took something from the show today. It was a great one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.